Let me show you how you can quickly and easily create a bootable Windows USB on a Linux system in just a few minutes. Of course, the file download times doesn't count here. So let's begin. The first step is to download Windows ISO file from Microsoft's website. Of the presented options, go for the third option. Download Windows 11 Disk Image ISO for x64 devices. In the field below, select Windows 11 Multi-Edition ISO. That was the only option for me at least. Clicking on Download Now brings up lots of stuff to read. You may skip the entire reading part and scroll down to the same Download Now button and click it. The download doesn't happen immediately. You need to choose the language for your Windows 11 OS. Select that and hit Confirm. A few seconds later, you should get the actual download button. Typical of Microsoft, I would say. Hit the 64-bit download button and it finally starts downloading the ISO file of more than 7 GB in size. Now you can clearly see that you need to have an active, high-speed internet connection. While this file is being downloaded, you should also download Ventoy. Go to its website and then go to the download section. All download links actually take to the SourceForge website, and from here I actually suggest getting the tar file for Linux. Just wait for the downloads to finish for both Ventoy and Microsoft Windows 11. Once you have downloaded both files, go to the downloads folder and extract the Ventoy tar file by right clicking on it. Plug in the USB key at this point. Enter the extracted Ventoy folder, and here you will notice several files. Some of them allow you to run Ventoy in a terminal or in a web browser. I suggest going for Ventoy GUI x8664 for simplicity. This is what you can use on most common systems. Double click on it and it asks for your account password. Enter that and you will see that Ventoy has already recognized your USB key. Still, verify it and select the appropriate USB key. After that, hit the install button. The USB key will be formatted, of course. It should take a few seconds and Ventoy should be installed on the USB. You can verify that by looking at the mounted USB that is renamed to Ventoy now. Next, copy the Windows ISO file you had downloaded earlier and then paste this file to the Ventoy USB. Just that. Nothing else needs to be done here. Just wait for the copy to finish and you should have your bootable Windows 11 USB ready. A small but important tip, use the safely eject option here, because what happens is even if it shows that the ISO file has been copied to Ventoy USB, it does some post processing in the background, and thus it is not safe to just you know take out the USB on your own. So you know wait for the process to complete. Click on the eject option, and when you see that you can safely remove the USB, then take it out, and thus you will have your bootable Windows 11 USB ready. I will show how I booted from this bootable Windows USB on my spare laptop. Plug in the USB key and then press F2 or F10 or F12 keys to access the boot settings. This could be actually the tricky part. So you have to somehow manage to get your timing right and access the boot settings. When you manage to access the boot settings, change the boot settings to ensure that you are booting from the USB first. The bootable Windows USB you made. Put the USB boot option at the top. The entire boot settings screen is likely to look different for different computers, make and models. So you can just get the idea of what you have to do here. Save and exit the boot and wait for it to boot from the Ventoy USB. And as you can see here, it shows the option to boot into Windows 11. Choose normal mode and just wait for the Windows circles to appear. You will have to select the language here first. So let me plug in my mouse, as the touchpad on this old laptop doesn't work for some reasons. Anyways, so Windows doesn't necessarily support live mode. So when you boot into Windows 11 USB, it gives you the option to either repair a Windows installation or do a fresh installation. So you have your bootable Windows USB and you're free to enjoy it. If you want some clues, I'll show you how I deleted Linux from my spare laptop and installed Windows 11 instead in this section of the video. So let's continue from where we were. So choose to install Windows 11, enter the product key if you have one. If the laptop was purchased with Windows 10 or 11, the key should already be associated with the hardware, or it should be in your Microsoft account. I'll skip the product key for now because I don't have one. Anyways, select Windows Home if you're not sure of any other options. Keep on going until you reach the partition part. Now, partition may be different for different systems. In my case, there is only one hard disk and a USB key plugged in. To make things easier, I deleted all the partitions on the hard disk. This will prompt Windows to create required partitions on its own. Now it's just a long waiting game mostly. Well, mostly. The small problematic part is that the system will boot a couple of times during the installation. Since we changed the boot order and put USB at first, when the system boots again next time, it will boot from Ventoy again, and thus the installation will be interrupted. To avoid that, when the system boots the next time, we will change the boot settings. Actually, I think that we can also remove the USB key at this point, but I did not verify that. So let me change the boot order once again, and I can see that Pop OS boot option is gone and a Windows Boot Manager is now available. Let's put Windows Boot Manager at top and save the changes. As the system boots, you can see that it resumes the Windows installation process. Wait for it to finish, and in the installation it showed me this error message, but that was not an issue apparently, as my system booted fine afterwards and showed me the Windows setup screen. I think this much proof is enough that you can quickly create a bootable Windows USB in Linux on actually any Linux system, be it Ubuntu, Mint, Fedora, you know, as long as you use Ventoy. I did it on Fedora. So creating the Windows USB key takes a lot less time than installing Windows. I hope you find this useful in creating bootable Windows USB on your Linux system. If you face problems or if you have any doubts or questions, please drop a comment below and I'll try to help you out. Peace out. See you in the next video.